preparing to go on YouTube. Shiny, please check the YouTube page.
I'm doing that.
Just let me know once we are live.
Hello and a very warm welcome to everyone. Welcome to the third edition of the Career Mirror. Basically, it's our platform where we have something called the Alumni Panel Series. And everyone who's watching us live today from different parts of the country and the world, a very warm welcome to everybody, principals, teachers, parents, students, alumni, young and old. Welcome to the third edition. It's my pleasure to have you all in. I'm Shim Mathew, Director Academic Operations for the VIBGYOR Group of Schools. And so glad to see our panelists and our speakers who will be here to speak to us and also take questions at the end after they've described where they see themselves after having moved out of schools, and one of them being an investment banker, the other two still studying and looking forward to join the workforce very soon. So these conversations give our students an opportunity to, to look beyond their studies, beyond the textbooks, beyond the school life that they've lived, and also not just probably, but also advise younger folks who might be the juniors across the schools in this country. The VIBGYOR group today has 40 schools pan-India. And these are young people who are ready to advise young ones as to why would they or why could they choose a kind of career or a college, and how do they get into some of those finest colleges in the world. So we are delighted to have our alumni and our students and everyone. But before we start, I formally invite Ms. Jayashree Bhake, who is the principal of our school, VIBGYOR High, Malad East in Mumbai, to welcome the alumni and everyone else who's watching us today for this special panel talk. Ms. Jayashree, over to you.
Thank you, Shim sir. It is indeed exciting to be with all these young minds out here. In this highly competitive era, choosing the right career pathway has often become quite tedious and confusing process. But I'm happy that the Career Mirror, which is very thoughtfully designed to bridge the gap between the school life and the global professional success, serves as a valuable platform to facilitate this particular journey for our learners. The conversation with are accomplished with our alumni provide students with a very wonderful opportunity to look beyond the classroom teaching, to look beyond the textbooks, and gain a real world understanding of the diverse career pathways, the choices that they shape them, and the challenges and opportunities they might encounter along the way. We truly appreciate this wonderful initiative and are delighted to be a part of yet another exciting and inspiring session. I am sure that today's interaction would also provide our learners with valuable insights and empower them to make informed choices as they carve a niche for themselves in this world ahead. I welcome the Univariety team, my wonderful alumni, Shimsa, Mr. Shailesh, and all the viewers to this exciting and enriching conversation of the career mirrors. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jayashree, and I'm sure you'll be happy to see one of your former students here on the panel.
Yes, indeed.
I'm sure Takshay, who's joined us from Singapore, will have a great
Right.
time interacting not just with all of us, but also students who may have questions who that could be directed towards them. But thank you once again for the welcome. We'll get
Thank
going.
Thank
Just
you.
want to share the Career Mirror is a testament to our commitment to our future. And in this endeavor, we are supported by our strategic partner, Univariety, which provides the technology that keeps our global VIBGYOR family connected. This partnership also ensures that we have a direct line to the world's best universities and companies where some of our alumni work. And these are mentors who will continue to walk, assist, help, and guide some of our alumni or some of our students who are now young in schools. Maybe reach out to them and ask for possible answers to the questions that they have. So, having said that, our first speaker tonight, let me get going with the panelists as they are the ones who will share their thoughts and understanding of what they are, where they are, and how far did they go after leaving school. So our first speaker tonight is a great example of how a strong foundation in school can lead to an exciting career in the world, especially in the world of finance and technology. Naman Parekh is an alumni of VIBGYOR High, Goregaon West, and it's my pleasure to invite him as he was my student as well when I was in school, heading the school. And I'll call upon Naman Parekh. Currently, he serves as director, vice president in technology investment at UBS. He pursued his Bachelor's of Science in Finance and Entrepreneurship from the Indiana University's Kelley College of School of Business, and has since built a career at the intersection of technology, finance, and investment banking. Today, he joins us to share his professional journey and insights into the world of technology and finance. Please join me in welcoming Naman Parekh as he starts off as the first panelist. Naman, it's all yours. Please go ahead.
Amazing. Good evening, everyone. It's an honor to be here. Even before I dive into, all my introduction about my whole story, I just want to say thank you to Shimsa, as he kind of very kindly pointed out. He was the principal of my school at the time, and look, I really, really appreciate him for like the honor and the fact that I'm here. He's helped me shape myself not only in the classroom but outside as well, including all the MUNs which I've had over the last, a lot of years, including the one that we did at the H1 in America. So with that, a little bit about myself. Naman Parekh. As Shimsa highlighted, I'm graduated from VIBGYOR High in class of 2011. It feels like 100 years ago. But look, it's a full circle for me here. It's an amazing moment for me to be here because I was in your shoes in just like a handful of years ago, and I was convinced that the most important part was me being convinced that my next maths exam was the most important one. But the reality is, while it was very important, the friends that I made, the mistakes I made, and the opportunities I got in school were the ones that really helped me build my foundation, right? So with that, let me maybe flash my screen, if that's okay. So we can, I can kind of go through a small presentation for everyone. Let me do it. Shim sir, if you can let me know if you can see my screen.
Sure. It's
Yeah,
on,
give me-
Naman. Yeah.
Yeah, give me one second. Okay, excellent. Thank you. So look, obviously, here just wanted to kind of first begin with a bit of a throwback of mine. I'm sure here you can see a much better looking version of me. On the left, obviously it's my class that I graduated with, including my head teacher at the time, Miss Tripti Parekh, who's again been instrumental in many, many ways. And as you can see on the right-hand side, I was very happy with suit that I had on, but I can promise you at the time it was not backed by any actual acumen, if you will. But what I remember is that it was the best times, and happy to kind of speak to you a bit more about this as well. So without any further ado, I'll give you a quick background as to what I did after school. So, and also what I learned across every stage of my life, right? So obviously, as Shimsa highlighted, I was a part of the Goregaon branch. I joined school at the very first year of its inception in grade 3, and I've been there ever since grade 10. The two things that I really wanted to hit on was I loved my time, but what I loved about this whole experience while I was in school is that it was beyond the classroom what I loved and what I learned a lot from as well, even more at times than what I learned in the school class, if you will. My first competition or my first taste of competition wasn't about like the marks, but being a part of the sports day, being a part of the school's basketball team actually with Nelson sir. I don't know, if he's around, but I just want to acknowledge him as well. He was a big part of the school. He taught me a lot more, or the fact that I was involved in sports spoke to me a lot more than only the exams did. And then the other point that I wanted to highlight was the friends that I made in the school, and I was a part of the school for a handful of years. I think the friends you make mattered a lot than a lot of other things that you were really emphasizing on. So obviously I want to keep this very crisp. I can go on and on, but I just wanted to kind of hit on the main points about what were my key objectives and what were the key takeaways I had across each stage of my life, if you will. So after VIBGYOR, I left to go to Indus International School, where I did my IBDP, which was 11th grade and 12th grade. And I'm sure a lot of you here, teachers, parents, and of course my beloved students, know what IBDP would be. But I think one of the biggest key learnings that I had here was, hard work really beat what a person's natural acumen was, because IB really was one program that's very intense, as a lot of you may know. So where time management, sacrifices were a big part of my takeaways, because you're doing a lot of things at once, and the other thing that I wanted to hit on is that while you are at that stage, you have a lot of social obligations as well. So being able to balance a lot of those things while at the same time making sure that not only you focus on the fact that on the points that your strengths, but the ability to learn to fail at a thing really goes a long way in across the spectrum, right? So I think those were the two key pieces that I learned from my time in the IB diploma at Indus International School. And after that, I always had a dream to go abroad. And so that ultimately ended up me going to the Kelley School of Business at Indiana University. Happy to speak to you a bit more about that as well. But I think my key points that I learned here was, it was a new environment altogether, right? Like a kid from Bombay going abroad. I think the one thing that I learned is that being the new person and being okay with who you are in a room that nobody knows you and being uncomfortable also goes a long way, because that really spoke to me a lot, because it forced me to grow in ways beyond what I envisioned myself. And the other thing that I wanted to emphasize here during my time at IU, which was phenomenal exposure, is that the more I spent 4 years there actually to pursue my undergraduate education. The more I spent time there, what really, I learned that nobody succeeds alone, right? And the ability and the importance that you have to pay it back to people who supported you along the way became a lot more important for me. And ultimately, to all of you here, it's okay to not have things figured out at the age of 18. You have a long way to go, and you should try to do things that you otherwise won't, right? Because all of, like, here, when you're doing your education, it's low stakes environment, right? And then ultimately, after spending my time there at IU, I always knew that I wanted to do something within finance and accounting. And then I realized I love the ability to advise people. And so I wanted to kind of amalgamate the two pieces, which was the advisory aspect of things, as well as my love for accounting and finance, right? And that ultimately drew me to investment banking. And happy to speak to you, all of you, a bit more about that for anyone who's interested in the career, right? So having spoken about this, given my experiences over the last 8 years in this industry, I'll kind of go a bit more into what investment banking is for a lot of you, who may or may not know, right? I'll be extremely high level here because I know, I want to make sure we keep a lot of time at the end for questions as well. So here I'll just specify that there are 4 key aspects to what an investment bank really offers, essentially. One is helping companies raise capital, be it equity or debt. Then you would also advise on M&A, which is acquisition. So if one company wants to acquire another company, you are the advisor, or like a bank that advises them. Number 3 is S&T, right? That is the true, the fact that it's a very quintessential helping an institution or a client to buy and sell stocks, if you will. And then ultimately, the equity research is the last piece of the pie, where you have the bank, they study companies and industries to ultimately figure out which stock is a good investment or not, right? So here are the 4 key pieces of what an investment bank offers, essentially. And as you can see on the screen, you have a lot of examples, all like the big banks, including Avendus and Axis, are 2 Indian investment banks as well. And then ultimately, I'm here as well to help folks who are interested in investment banking. I think the 2 key tips that I'd like to at least highlight for now is that one is that, highly recommend for anyone interested in the field, like, to read business news every day. And it should be a habit. It's not a homework, it's a habit, right? Over time, of course, maybe a month or so, it might be a homework, but over time, it should really become a habit to really understand what's going on in the economy at large. So ultimately, you can really ask yourself if you enjoy knowing about these things in the first place. And then the other thing is network with people, right? Ability to speak to other people goes a long way, because, who are doing this job, especially, you can learn a lot more than just everything that you learn in the books, right? So I know I spoke a lot about my journey from the time I was in school to now, and a little bit about investment banking. So I'll pause there, and again, at least for now, I'll pass it back on to Takshay to also give an introduction as well.
Great. It was good hearing you, Naman, after a very long time. I remember your days in school and fondly have those great memories of you being a very young kid. Good to see you mature into somebody who is into finance and at the intersection of technology and finance, amalgamating both and able to share your perspectives because money does the talking many a time. And so for ones who are interested in understanding how does that work, it'll be great for them to get in touch with you. But what interested me most when you spoke was also the fact that you mentioned that a lot of learning happened outside of formal educational or learning environment, which is key. You did mention a couple of your teachers, and I'm sure they must be elated that you still remember them. And one of the persons you mentioned was the most famous basketball coach in all of VIBGYOR in Mumbai, right? Mr. Nelson. Well, he taught you all a lot of stuff on life outside the classrooms. That was interesting to note. Another thing that you very clearly mentioned, Naman, was that there is no excuse to hard work. It cannot be replaced. And thank you for also telling the younger ones who must be watching that it's possible that at this age, when you're maybe 50, 16 or 17 or even 18, you may not know everything, and that's okay not to know. But it's good to always be curious to know about what you could do, and that's the most critical part, to ask questions to the right people and ask the right questions for people to grow. Thank you, Naman. I'm sure you'll have a lot of questions coming away before the end of this webinar, and I'll move on to our next panelist. So we have Takshay, who's been a part of this VIBGYOR school at Malad East, and Takshay, it'll be great to understand from you because you not only did your studies here, but in Mumbai, but you then went on to do research. You went on to graduate, and you were very interested in aeronautical engineering, where you graduated from Manipal, and then now you're pursuing, everything that's got to do with aeronautical, not just aeronautical engineering, but also research. I also understand that you did an internship, not just in India, but also in IIT Mumbai, but also in France. That'll be good to know about how did you do that and what were your areas of internship. And now, as you study in the National University of Singapore, doing your MS, it'll be interesting to know how did you get there and what exactly, how are you able to manage what you're doing right now? So, welcome, Takshay. Let all of us know about yourself. Please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction, Shim. And yeah, welcome all the teachers, all students and parents. And I'm very happy to see that one of my school principals that I don't know of, but Jashi ma'am is present here. So I'm very happy about that. So I'll be sharing my screen now. I hope you can see it.
Yes, we can, Takshay. Go ahead.
So hello, my name is Takshay Surana, and I'm from the batch of 2019 from the Malad East branch of Mumbai. And so since it was such a lovely introduction, I want to go back to my school days where I want to show that I wasn't one of the brightest kids in school. So I never thought that this day would come where VIBGYOR would invite me for an alumni talk. So we can see me in 8th and 9th grade. And finally, this was my last year in school. And I hope Jashi ma'am can see some of the teachers still present in school. I met them in January itself. I think Shimoti ma'am is still there and Sushma ma'am is still there. But yeah, so I will not take much time on my school days, but I will quickly dive into what I have been doing ever since I left school. So my journey is that I graduated from VIBGYOR in 2019, and then 2019 to 2021 I spent doing my JEE preparation. So I joined an integrated college where I was studying for my boards and JEE together. So, and I was preparing for other competitive exams. For everyone who doesn't know JEE, at least at my time, I did not know what JEE was. It's called Joint Entrance Examination, and it is for people who want to get into engineering. So my main subjects during that time were physics, chemistry, math, and computer science. But so as everyone know, during 2019, COVID hit. So everything went into lockdown, and all of my studies went to the online phase. But I did end up leaving my coaching during that time, and I completely focused on self-study and to clear my JEE. So the competitive exams that I gave during that time was for Manipal and BITS and other private colleges, and I did get into Manipal. So main thing that comes up when you're choosing your stream is that what do you want to get into, because there's a lot of pressure around you stating that this field is growing more, this field is growing more. But what I did during my time was that this is a process that I like. It's called it basically is removing stuff that you don't like. So I had a bunch of options, and I told my parents, I'm like, I don't like computer science. My brother's already doing it. I don't like electrical. It made me cry during my JEE days. So it ultimately got me down to two main things. It was either mechanical engineering, and aeronautical engineering was a bit fascinating because not everyone wants to do that. And I'm really kind of a person who does want to do different things than others. So that's why I went into aeronautical engineering. And during my third year, I got an opportunity from France where I was invited for an exchange semester program. It was called Aeronautical and Automobile Design Program. It was in a college called Astaka. It was in France. And yeah, I did spend one semester there, and it was really great because the opportunities and things that I learned there was something that I could never find in India. And finally, during my final year, I had to do an internship for my final project that I did in IIT Bombay, where I was focusing on research on some on drones, simulation of drones. And ultimately, we did end up writing a research paper that was published and was shown at a conference in IIT Madras. And that led to me coming to National University of Singapore for my Masters of Science in Mechanical Engineering. And about how I got here, it was really not that difficult, I would say, because what I usually to get for masters, you need to give your competitive exams again for GRE and for IELTS and everything. But surprisingly, I did not want to do that, and I just sent in my resume and my transcripts from Manipal. And luckily, I got into National University of Singapore. So I'm very happy to be here. And I'm still figuring things out about what to do next from here. But until next year, I'm still here. And I do want to give a little intro about what aeronautical engineering is, because during my school days, I had no idea that it even existed. So when we usually think about aeronautical, the only thing that comes to our mind is that it's something related to building a plane, or it's something related to how planes fly. But it really is different things, and I jotted it down for you guys. So it's about it includes engine propulsion, rocket propulsion. It's about aerodynamics, how the air moves around the flight, and how do you control the flight. And I'm sure everyone has seen a cockpit, because it's very intriguing to go and just have a peek when the door is open and the pilots are sitting in. So everything that the pilots do is related to avionics, because it's literally aviation electronics. That's where the name comes from. And the main thing about aeronautical engineering is fluid mechanics and thermodynamics. Once you are into that, you can diverge yourself into multiple streams. You can get into research, I'm sure a lot of people are into Formula One nowadays. So fluid mechanics and thermodynamics are one of the main things that can get you into Formula One. And finally, you can learn about aircraft design, materials and manufacturing, and whatnot. So it's not just one thing, it's 100 things that you learn in one degree. So it's really fascinating and really interesting to study about. And few things that I learned along the way is that it's okay to fall behind others, because as when I was in school, I was way behind others. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just having fun. I was playing cricket all the time. And teachers would constantly tell me during PTM that he can do better, but he just doesn't want to do better. He just wants to have fun. But yeah, so things will pick up when your time is right. And one of the most cliche things that everyone hears is that one exam will never define your future. And it most definitely won't. Because during school days, it's still fine, but one exam will most certainly never define what you're going to do in your future. And one thing that I learned is that whichever stream you end up in, your main focus should always be on your projects and internships because courses, we all know that we give the exam and we forget about what we have learned in that exam. So, but what we work on our projects and internships really gets us through. And uh, be open to opportunities and make most of them as they come. And it is really important to build a strong network wherever you go because for me, my exchange programs and my internships, I only got because of my professors and I had a really strong connection with them. And finally, the most important thing out of everything is that just make great friends and have loads of fun because they are the only one who's going to get you through everything that you're going to do in your life. And that was it from my side. So thank you. Thank you for it.
Well, Takshay, you did speak your heart out, and that's important for everyone who's watching us to know that. But we could also understand that you persisted, and you definitely wanted to pursue what you wanted to pursue. But I also learned something from you. You know, when things go against you, maybe for the example that you spoke about COVID and preparations for JE, when that didn't work, you went on your own to start preparing to be a part of the Manipal Institute of Technology. That's great. I think that's a learning for everyone. When things look at another, have a plan B to get working on plan B. Thank you for that very with a lot of clarity on what you spoke about, and very importantly, how important network is, and how critical it is sometimes to get an internship to get going, so you kind of understand and know how to work with people. And last but not the least, make friends. They'll come in handy at some point of time in your life. Thank you, Takshay. That was great talking to you. And we wish that as you pursue your master's in mechanical engineering at the National University of Singapore, you'll do really well and really great. And we could have some questions coming your way very soon. Thank you. And before I move on to the next speaker, I'll request everyone who's on watching us on YouTube to place your questions on the chat, so we could maybe ask those questions to our panelists today. So kindly go ahead and share your questions on the chat, and do mention who you want to answer your specific question. Thank you, and we'll move on to our next speaker, a very young lady. Her name is Jaanavi. She brings together academic excellence, international exposure, and a deep passion for the performing arts. So welcome, Jaanavi Anand, an alumna of VIBGYOR Magarpatta in Pune, art school in Pune, and she's currently pursuing, she's in a final year's honors degree, again at the National University of Singapore, pursuing psychology. She completed a grade 10 with us and was the third highest scorer in her school, and went on to become the state topper in humanities. That's no mean achievement in Maharashtra. And she secured an impressive 98.2%. So academics is in there, but she's very keen on performing arts, and especially in psychology. So she also had an exchange which she was part of in California, Davis, while deeply remaining rooted to performing arts. She's also trained a Carnatic vocalist for the last 16 odd years. That's a very long time. And she participates actively in multiple dance, theater, and performing arts. So that makes her a complete VIBGYOR and a complete person. So, Jaanavi, most welcome. Please go ahead and share with us and the ones who are watching us your experiences.
Thank you so much for the lovely introduction. Okay, so I'll just directly get into what I wanted to talk about. So, I hope my screen is visible.
It is, Jaanavi. Please go ahead.
Yes. So good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us here today. So I seem to be the most junior out of the three of us so far, so please go a little easy on me. But I will still try to share as much as I have been able to learn in the few years of seniority that I have had after passing out from VIBGYOR. So yes, I finished my 10th grade from VIBGYOR Magarpatta in Pune in 2021. And after that, I went on to study in the humanities stream, and I then moved on to study psychology at the National University of Singapore. Just to maybe throw back a little bit, I was not able to find older pictures since I was also at VIBGYOR only for a short period of time, since I have been changing schools multiple times over the years. So I was at VIBGYOR from the half of my 7th grade to the end of my 10th grade. So this is a picture from the 10th standard felicitation. So at VIBGYOR also, I've had the great opportunity to be able to be involved in a lot of extracurricular activities. I feel like the system at VIBGYOR with the SPA options we could choose and some of the after school clubs gave me a great space to be able to explore and discover more interests that I might have had. So during my years at VIBGYOR, I did multiple music performances at the school, and I was a part of the speech and drama club. And I also participated in the VIBGYOR Viva competitions a few times. So those hold a lot of fond memories for me from my time at Pune. But even though my time at VIBGYOR may have been a little short, I feel like those grades were really important in the life of any students, like especially the 9th and 10th grades. And I'm really grateful to have been able to spend those years at VIBGYOR. Maybe just to cover a bit of my journey. So out of the many more schools that I have been in, these are the primary ones that I spent most of my time in. So I did my schooling from the 2nd standard to the 7th standard at the Hiranandani Foundation School in Powai, after which we relocated to Pune, where I joined VIBGYOR Magarpatta, and I finished my 10th standard over there. After which we relocated back to Mumbai when I joined Delhi Public School, Navi Mumbai, for the humanities stream. But I was actually uniquely in the science stream in 11th standard, and I ended up changing my stream in the 12th grade, which was a bit of a complicated process. We had to approach the board and everything, which I'm really glad my school helped and supported me for. And I'm grateful that that came through, since that is what led me to discover my interest in psychology and brought me to where I am right now at the National University of Singapore studying psychology. And I'm currently in my final year. Thank you. So coming to psychology. So as I mentioned, I have changed schools a lot and I've been in new environments very frequently. So that has been a constant in my life. And wouldn't have been able to discover psychology if I hadn't explored it first. When I was in the science stream, before I studied it in humanities, it wasn't something that I was considering because I hadn't tried it out before. I feel like that is one important thing that I would like to emphasize on even as we move on. So when people hear psychology, most people think of therapy, which is the clinical side, which is a very big field that most people tend to go into. However, the thing is that there's actually so many other fields that psychology can also be applied in, since human behavior is a constant you see across so many sectors. So that can include research into various areas, including social psychology, cognitive psychology, developmental psychology, as well as applications in the industrial and organizational sector, forensic psychology, and so much more. So there's so many options out there that, especially in today's world, that we may not be aware of when we are put into the more school pipelines of picking as one stream or the other. Which is why it's really important to try out new things, because unless you try them out, you won't know that you had these options in the first place. So while at NUS, I've been able to explore different areas through my coursework and research work in the lab, as well as through my internships. And I try to do my internships in different areas because if you couldn't tell from the fact that I changed my stream in between, I'm not somebody who's very sure about what I want to do, which is something I would say is true for me even right now. So this is definitely a long journey to figure out your final career path. So I feel like doing internships in different areas and getting hands-on experience and seeing what actual jobs look like in these areas can help you understand a lot more about what you like and also what you may not like. And they also provide you with a great opportunity to be able to speak to people that have actually been working in the field for many years. Because when you are trying to chart your own path, hearing about other people's journeys can provide you with the kind of information to have more confidence when making your own decisions on the matter. Then at the same time, the field itself is changing quite quickly, especially with a lot of technological advances and the development of AI. So when it comes to psychology, AI can also impact it in multiple ways, depending on which field the subject is being applied in. I feel like a lot of the common applications can be similar to a lot of other fields as well, in which AI is being used a lot more to help you with more repetitive tasks like running data analysis in areas like research and even the organizational sector, so that way you can focus more on the tasks that require critical thinking and asking questions and evaluating the results. But with the clinical field, I feel like there is still some more complications that come in because there are concerns surrounding safety and the regulations and the extent to which we would still need human involvement when it comes to an AI administering therapy. But at the pace at which the technological developments seem to be going, we can't say too much about the future, as we can't even predict probably the near future. So who's to say for 10 years in the future? So there is a long way to go. And I feel like this is a direction that people are researching towards. But I think the most important part is not to be too overwhelmed by all of these new discoveries, because technological advancements are always going to happen. But the more important part is to keep your curiosity and hunger to learn alive. Because as these technological advances keep coming, it's important to adapt to them and use them to make your work more convenient, and also keep being open to learning new skills, because that is the most important thing to have in a rapidly changing job market like ours today. And maybe just to leave you with a few things. So I would definitely emphasize on trying things before deciding, because you don't have to have everything figured out already, especially at a young age that you guys might be at. So it's good to have a direction that you might be able to go towards. But within that direction itself, there may be numerous possibilities that you may not be aware of or haven't explored yet. So trying those things out first and speaking to people with more experience in your field can help you chart your path a little better, because you don't have to figure things out on your own as well. And another thing, since I have always been very involved in extracurricular activities along with prioritizing my academics, I would say that it's important to build a life for yourself beyond your academics, to have things going for you that you enjoy, that can be an outlet in helping you deal with academic stress, especially when you're in a lot of rigorous grades, like in the 10th and 12th standard. That way, having something on the side that gives you enjoyment can make all the difference. And another important factor is to put yourself outside your comfort zone. I have been putting myself in new environments throughout my whole life, maybe not always voluntarily, but I feel like all those experiences have grown me as a person, and have transformed me for the better, especially my experience of living away from family and moving away at a pretty young age and having to do my chores and just figure out day-to-day life on my own, and also manage academics at the same time. And I feel like the best learnings just come from putting yourself outside of your comfort zone when you start facing more challenges. So yeah, that's it. And I would just once again come back to, you can talk to people that have more experience, even your teachers in your school as well. You can talk to your seniors, you can talk to your teachers and hear about their journeys, and that can provide you with a lot more insight in what you might want your own journey to look like in the future as well. Thank you.
Well, great. That was wonderful listening to you, Jaanavi. I think I was especially stunned when you said that you moved stream after in grade 11, and you took up a subject that you wanted to pursue, or that indeed was brave. Not many people do that, but I think you stuck to a choice and you knew what you're doing at that age. Wonderful. That was great. You also spoke about blending of subjects, right? Which also will enable you to maybe take up subjects that possibly are not normally chosen with a combination of subjects. And I would encourage students who, if they are watching us, to do that. That's a good practice because it makes you what we also sometimes call a very whole person. You have perspectives, you could have ethics, philosophy discussed with technology and science and stuff like that, which is very important in today's times. And last but not the least, you said be friends with technology. Things will keep evolving, things will change, everything will change. That's the constant. So don't run away from it. You cannot hide from it. So to everyone listening, that's a great point that Jaanavi put forward. Thank you, Jaanavi, for that interesting interaction. That which means that academic excellence can go hand in hand with your creative passions that you did mention. Go out and pursue the world of extracurricular activities. Wonderful. I'm sure the students who are watching you will be inspired. Great. So now it's time after having heard all the three panelists, it's time to open up this forum for questions. So we have some questions coming your way, panelists. I think the first one goes to Naman. So Naman, the question that comes up for you is to do with the field that you're in, especially investment banking and finance. A lot of people, a lot of students are interested in, they wish to pursue that. But what is it that made you, realize or help you understand that this is the field that I want to be in? At the intersection of technology, investment, and banking. If you could speak about what's it that made you realize, right, this is what I want to be. Please go ahead.
Yeah, that for sure. No, happy to answer that. So I'll say 2 points, right? One, obviously a lot of it happened organically. One was I was always been fascinated by how technology has reshaped industries and has recreated new business models every other month, every other year. And then investment banking, why I chose to, kind of pursue that on an intersection basis, because the financial acumen or the lens of it really helped me understand, okay, what actually makes these businesses valuable, how they scale, where the competitive advantage really sits, and how is the capital being deployed into all these fascinating companies that are reshaping how we think and how we do things. And then the other point was very quickly over the last 3 years, AI, right? Everyone in the world speaks about AI. I realized that the intersection of finance, technology, AI, and strategy is where I'm most intellectually curious, right? Because you're not analyzing what exists right now. You're constantly trying to understand what the next 5 to 10 years will look like, right? And when you can package it with a bit of a financial acumen, it really helps you see the world in a much different way. So I think the amalgamation of all the three really, really excites me, given like the aspects which I highlighted on.
Great. Thank you, Naman. I think that kind of leads us into more questions, but we'll come back to you with some more questions if time permits. But I think what I could understand from what you spoke was, I think one was a genuine interest in finance that you had in terms of numbers and investments and stuff like that. And have you gone on to understand how capital works, how the system works, how it flows? There could be some more questions that could come to you even offline, maybe at some other point of time. And I'm sure you would be able to answer those questions that come to you from your juniors, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Naman, for that. I'll move to Takshay. Takshay, ever since you moved out of school, the VIBGYOR group of schools introduced something called VIBGYOR Race. It's a curated, integrated program for all students who are interested in pursuing JEE and NEET. It becomes part of the system in the VIBGYOR group. So unfortunately, we didn't have it while you were there. But the students at VIBGYOR Race are able to study in those 2 years for NEET and JEE. You have a question that's coming to you from a student. He's in grade 11. His name is Sashwat, I think. And he's raised a question for you. Can you throw some light on how to approach NUS admissions? I'm interested in sciences, especially within brackets is written physics. Would you be able to speak and assist this student?
Yeah, sure. I think I can throw more light on postgraduate admissions. I'm sure Jaanavi can do a much better job than me for undergraduate, but for my postgraduate admission forms, So NUS is a bit rigorous on their admissions because the acceptance rate is so low. But what they would really like you to focus on is, I'm sure, their transcripts, clean resume, and most importantly, the essays and SOPs that you submit, because that really makes a difference. And I'm sure it in the earlier days it was a bit more tougher to get into colleges because writing essays and SOPs by your own was a great task, even during school and even during exams. But ever since AI showed up, I have been writing all my SOPs using AI, and I've been shaping it better because I know that at some point in life, you have to accept that AI is in your life and everyone else is using it. So might as well get a bit of help from it. And yeah, so mainly for NUS, what you need is a good resume and a good SOP. And I'm sure extracurriculars also make a lot of difference. And I think Janvi would explain it better than me.
Go ahead, Jaanavi. Thank you, Takshay. Jaanavi, you want to add into that? You're muted, Jaanavi. Yeah, go ahead.
Can you
Go
hear
ahead.
me? Yeah. So maybe for the undergraduate admissions, so there's more of a focus on the grades. I would say like specifically your 12th board marks are the most important factor in getting into NUS. They don't explicitly say whether if there's a specific cutoff. From what I've spoken to most people, other international students around me, there seems to be like a general high, like around probably like 95 plus is what I've seen most people saying, since the acceptance rate is pretty low. And there are other aspects of the application that also ask about your achievements in other areas, and they also value prizes won in international Olympiads, for example. So those kind of achievements are also seen quite well upon by NUS. But I would say that primarily, since it's an Asian university, they also prioritize marks the most.
Great. Thank you, Jaanavi. I think it is important for students to build a good profile while they are still in school. And I would suggest and recommend anybody who's watching us, especially young students, start at it right from grade 8 and 9 for sure. So you have 4 years in school, and you could take that up in the form of activities that you do, but you need to start keeping a track and putting them all together and not just rely on certification or certificates. How did it finally move into an action point is what's important while you build your profile. And surely I think that's one part that the panelists here sitting have discussed and have informed through internships, through exchanges, that they've been able to build their profiles that way. So thank you, Jaanavi. There's another question coming to you, Jaanavi, and this is to do with the subject that you're studying, that psychology at NUS, while experiencing different cultures through your exchange at the UC Davis campus. I mean, all of that would have given you a different perspective, right? Spending some time at the UC Davis campus in the US, and then moving to Singapore, having studied in India. There's a lot of amalgamation of cultures, and I think that's very important for someone to be a part of an international student body, right? So, if you could tell us how has it helped you understand human behavior even as you continue to study psychology?
So, definitely, as we study psychology, we learn that there are a lot of cultural differences that we see in the way humans behave, especially when we look at Asian cultures versus the more Western cultures in developed countries. There are some theories that say that a lot of the Asian cultures tend to be more collectivistic in nature, and the Western cultures tend to be more individualistic in a way. But I feel like now, due to globalization, there is a lot of overlap between the two as well. But I feel like specifically when it came to studying psychology itself, and probably any subject, the way it's taught will definitely differ from place to place. So the way it was taught in school in India, and the experience that I had learning psychology from professors in NUS compared to what experience I had in UC Davis was very different. And I feel like it was very eye-opening for me to look at the type of learning that students are having in different places and how much of a difference that can make in the extent to which students might be more willing to share their thoughts on things and discuss more openly in class. And I see a mix of this across all places, but that was definitely something that I noticed. And I feel like as somebody who has been moving around throughout my life, I definitely noticed that despite all of these cultural differences, there are definitely a lot of commonalities across human behavior, which is why we're able to generalize a lot of the research studies that we do see in psychology, since we do have a common humanity, and I think that connects us all. And yeah, I would say that kind of sums up my final take on what human behavior might be like after my experiences so far.
Thank you, Jaanavi, for that very mature answer, although you are the youngest in this panel today. But I think your understanding of psychology drives you into talking, having a discussion around what's it that, in terms of understanding human behavior, and the perspectives matter, because there are young students who would want to catch up with you and maybe mail you and chat with you. I think you're okay in responding to their questions if they wish to sometimes in future, right? So we have very less time, but we will take up two more questions. I think that could maybe the last two questions. Takshay, there's a question coming your way, and it says that you've had the opportunities to work both at IIT, I mean, as an intern, you were at IIT Bombay, and also in France. So how different is the experience in getting involved in academic research in two different academic environment, I would say, one in India and the other one in France, both exceptionally interesting countries when it comes to academics. Could you share some experiences there?
Yeah, sure. I think the biggest difference that comes down is the way you approach a problem, because research is all about understanding the problem and creating a solution around it or towards it. So I'd say when I was in IIT Bombay, because I was working as a research intern, it was a bit different because you have supervisors, you have you have other interns, and it's a different culture when you're inside a lab because you get a lot of help, and the way you approach a problem can be understood in a lot of ways. Whereas if you do academic research, then sometimes there may be an issue where uh, you uh, you don't know how to approach a problem, or you're missing some fundamentals. So you have to develop your own approach to investigate that problem. So I would say that academic research is much tougher than working as an intern, because you get to learn, though you get to learn a lot more when you are working on your own project other than a team of interns together.
Got it, Akshay. So I think collaboration is what you mean. It becomes very
Yeah,
critical, right?
yeah,
And that's and teamwork is critical, is
yeah.
crucial to what we do together. And nothing is achieved alone. So for Naman, another question that comes to you, Naman, is for someone who's considering investment banking, how do you think the question that everybody asks, how will AI affect my future and the kind of job role or the work that I do? So in terms of investment banking, should we be afraid, or how is AI being helpful?
I'm afraid for sure, but I don't think anyone should be. But look, AI, I'll be honest, right? AI is fundamentally going to change how investment banking is done, right? But I don't think that makes the career any less attractive. It'll change what makes a person more valuable to the team, right? So when I was an analyst, when I started out my career, I did a lot of the repetitive work. I pulled data, I made books, I did a lot of Excel modeling work. So now that just means that if you're a junior banker, you will be spending more time on understanding the businesses, forming your own views, and actually engaging with the clients, because the focus will be less on who can do the Excel model like the fastest, right? Because the AI can help with that. So it's really about the expectation across every level within the investment bank will just be more and more and a lot higher, because it'll be about bringing forth how one can improve on their communication, commercial acumen. Those are the points that will really matter at the end of the day. And so AI can help accelerate the work, but knowing what to ask, whether the question and answer makes sense, and how to advise a founder or CEO will be a lot more harder to automate. So it'll really come down to communication, ability to have that commercial acumen to make things happen, essentially, beyond just the automation.
Thank you, Naman. I think you've kind of pointed to the fact that the replacement of the human element is not possible with AI, although it sounds fearful sometimes. But not everything can be replaced, and human beings are there to stay. Well, the doomsdayers may say something else, but thank you for clarifying that there. The apprehensions that you had too, and for candidly admitting that. Thank you, Naman. And Takshay, you have a comment from your teacher. Shimonti mentions that, wonderful speech, Takshay. You are so informative to bridge the gap between career and campus. Great. You must be happy listening to your teacher commenting on the YouTube chat. So that goes to you from Ms. Shimonti. I think you mentioned her. There it is. I think we may not have enough time as we plan to wrap this up. I'm sorry for the ones who are interested and wish to connect. There is for someone in high school, someone has posted this. High school who's interested in both science and business, what would you recommend doing now to explore both fields without feeling like they have to choose one immediately? To the question, I'll repeat it again. Somebody is asking, for someone in high school who's interested in both science and business, what would you recommend to them? And they quickly want to decide what they wish to choose. A very quick one-liner from all the three of you, if you wish to answer that, so I can wrap up and bring this to a close. Go ahead.
I'm happy to go first if that works.
Go ahead, Naman.
So, look, one-liner, it's a bold move, but you should do that early on, right? So if you're thinking, but do it quicker, do it earlier in your life, and make a call in a year's, like a year span. So then you can go into whatever you want to do with a full-blown perspective.
Yeah, I'd say that a lot of courses exist online and YouTube as well. So if during school, if you're studying science and you want to explore business studies, then you can always go online and research and look about it, and you can always choose whatever you want to do in your own time, for sure. But yeah, as Naman said, it should be quick and yeah.
I think reading books on the other side of it can always help, because even if you pick one thing, you still have access to all of the resources. So you can probably find a lot of secondhand books and borrow books from people, even find books online to read up on what the materials are like. And even on YouTube, I think you might be able to find a lot of people talking about their experiences on both sides of it. And that way you could learn more about what their experiences have been like to help you make a better decision.
Thank you both, Jaanavi and Takshay, for keeping it really crisp and short. And just want to inform everyone who's watching us, if you have more questions, and especially if you're from VIBGYOR, you can always reach out to your school principals. And we have the vertical called My Careers, and there are career counselors who will guide you into answering some of the questions that you may have raised, but we don't have an answer for it. We don't have the time, unfortunately. Sorry about that. I'll close this with one last appreciation for Naman. Naman, your former teacher and coordinator, Ms. Tripti Parekh says, so proud to see you, Naman, after 15 years. It's wonderful to see how far you've come. God bless you always and so proud of you. That's from Ms. Tripti Parekh, your former teacher.
It's an honor. It's an honor to be here. Hopefully I've aged well, though.
Let her take a call on that too. But anyway, as we wrap up this part of the Career Mirror, the third edition of it, I'm really grateful to all the three of you. I know, Naman, you're probably in the airport waiting to catch the next flight, but thank you for making time back in the US.
It's
Early
my
morning
pleasure,
for you.
Shim.
Yeah,
My
thank
pleasure.
you.
And thank you for having me. Really, it's an honor.
It's our pleasure too. And Takshay and Jaanavi, both of you in NUS, you must have missed class. We're sorry about that. I know you want to catch up on your studies and have some classes for which may be pending for you. But thank you again for making time and being with us this evening in India.
Thank you
It's
so
an
much for
honor.
having me.
It's an honor.
Thank you. And I'm sure your perspectives, your inputs have given our students a fair understanding of or what they should do and what they could do to make their lives better and also to make smart choices, right? As we continue on this journey, I'll bring this to an end, but I'll call upon Shiny from Univariety, who is our partner in connecting us to alumni. Shiny, your final remarks so that we can bring this interaction to a close. Shiny.
Thank you so much, Shim sir. It was so wonderful to hear all three of you. It kind of, I'm sure all of us who are sitting here also have learned so much from all of your three people's journey so far, right? It was great. I just wanted to highlight to all the students and parents who were listening and seeing us, so we have, over 4,000 of alumni already on board on the VIBGYOR. As Shim sir highlighted, if students have any questions, can connect to the principals for the career guidance. Having said that, additionally, you also have all your alumni who can help you and answer any questions that you might have through Univariety portal. So please do start using them to the fullest. Thank you so much, Jayashree ma'am. Thank you so much, Shim sir, for your lovely moderation. And thanks to all three of you for your time. Have a great day.
Thank you and bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you, and
everyone.
God bless you. God bless.